I'm Vitold and let me explain why this video even exists. And I'm a bit shocked myself. So many of you are R1200 GS or R1250 GS owners and love their bikes. And that's very good, as these are great motorcycles. Great, but not perfect. Because obviously perfect doesn't exist. But having on the market some strong competition, every single one of you out there scrolling through websites, through brochures and through YouTube videos trying to find an answer what your perfect bike should be and why it might or might not be a BMW GS. Every one of you should know something more about the biggest GS. I don't own a GS, so I can tell you straight away. So here we go. Oh, wait. I don't own one, but I've been riding and spending some time with these bikes. So just to clarify that, I'm not pissed that I don't own it, or maybe just a little. Alright, so first issue is something that I experienced myself many times and also saw people having problem with, while not necessarily even realizing what the deal was. It's Box's engine's characteristics of work, especially one little specific behavior, and it's that it needs a very precise clutch work synchronized with adding rather a lot of throttle. So in order to get moving, you have to be very careful to keep the bike's revs high and not let it stall. This sounds silly and obvious, but it's not. I've seen a few different people over the years falling with their GS because their bikes would suddenly stall. So everything stops moving except your body and brain that are trying to save yourselves in all that panic. You may manage that when you're trying to ride in a straight line, but if you're leaning or if you're trying to start off a little bit into the left or right direction, man, you're done. And expect having to do a deadlift with a GS, and that's not difficult as it doesn't fall completely flat thanks to its cylinders. Well, cylinders sticking to the side, so it's resting on them. But come on, it's still a shame. And the solution is to always add more throttle than you would normally do and just stick to this pattern. Sooner or later, you will land on your butt anyway, so get yourselves crush bars or some other cylinder protection. Please remember this advice from Uncle Vitold when you'll be ordering your GS. Because you will be anyway. Second thing that is pretty obvious, or it may not be that pretty obvious, is that the biggest GS is expensive as f***. That wouldn't be a problem if not for the fact that if you'd like to have some useful features and accessories that you will have to get anyway, you have to pay a lot extra. All that will cost you much more than the base price that in UK in 2020 is around or was around £13,700 and $18,500 in the US. So configuring the bike and adding options, I ended up with over £22,500. Crazy. So this is close to doubling the base price and still without some accessories like top case or side panniers. Well, you guys will be the judge, but you can get a pretty decent car for that money. So I believe that these adventure bikes have become ridiculously expensive, and R1250 GS is one of them. The third thing that you must have noticed is the sound of an engine or the sound of an exhaust is bad as hell, and I cannot stand it. I really cannot. This is a matter of personal taste too, but hearing a twin Boxer engine, I'm like, what in the world is that farting sound out there? Whose car got seriously injured or sick? And then there comes a BMW R1250 or R1200 GS. And damn, what have they done? Well, adding an aftermarket exhaust helps, because you may now turn some car alarms on an underground parking lot. But a side effect of that will be a major, massive headache for you, so it's not worth it. I love getting headaches because of loud V-twins, and I genuinely enjoy suffering from them because they are overpowered by the pride of my bike being the cause of all that thunderstorm. And I'm not that proud of producing crazy loud farts. Maybe I am a little bit, but well, I guess I've got to move to the next one, that this is going in a seriously wrong direction. But we're talking big money and not farts. So now in the fourth point, let me gently point out that even after the recent refresh and upgrade, the R1250GS is still much weaker than its competition, meaning that its engine is visibly less powerful on paper. BMW has 136 horsepower. Multistrada 1260 has 158 horsepower. Multistrada V4 has staggering 170 horsepower. There's also KTM with their 1290 Super Adventure, which has 160 horsepower. And I do realize that there's not always a race out there, but the king of the category looks pretty pale being compared to these very, very competitive other bikes. If you want to go quickly in a straight line, then yes, there is this S1000XR with its 165 horsepower, which you don't want to fully use as the bike tends to be somehow unstable when accelerating very, very hard. But KTM Ducati also have their equivalents of that S1000XR, which are 1290 Super Duke GT for KTM, and Ducati contracts still with this Multistrada V4 that almost matches the Super Duke GT with its 170 horsepower. So see, if you want to be the quickest, R1250GS will not give you that. And being completely serious here, this may be a deciding factor for some of you. Just like the sound of an engine, a sound of a V2 engine that sounds so much better than BMW's Boxer. However, and watch this, despite having the least power, BMW produces the most torque with 143 Newton meters versus 140 Newton meters of a KTM Super Adventure and 130 Newton meters of Multistrada 1260. The V4 has even less, it has 125 Newton meters. So that tells us a lot about flexibility, where BMW won't stay much behind or even at all until the other bikes reach higher RPMs to be able to use their higher power. Next, now fifth thing is BMW getting rid of analog gauges. Now in full sun and with reflections, there's no bloody way for you to tell how quickly you are going. And with the GS, it's actually easy to exceed speed limits just in a fraction of a second, as it's very stable. There's also good wind protection, and still there's a lot of useful power. So I am personally not a fan of fully digital panels in motorcycles, and I know that some of you aren't too. However, the question is whether we actually do have a choice left. Anyway, it's still better and easier to use than that terrible command center of Ducati motorcycles. Now check out number 6, which is expect your butt to hurt. The seat may turn out to be really hard for you. And yes, there is not much foam, not much padding there, and it has been this way since I remember. I did find the seat uncomfortable because of it being hard. So make sure that you are okay with that, or just get yourself an aftermarket seat. So this is easy to fix in case you need to. So now with number 7, I had to become really picky, as I believe that there actually are no more major problems that you may need to face. But let me point out that there are so many buttons, switches and knobs that right now you may completely forget about getting what you want quickly. And especially in the beginning. There's really no sweet spot here, because having a lot of options, features and helpful functions and finding an easy way of controlling them, BMW's approach is to let you control them in a large part with separate buttons and switches on your handlebar. Ducati, for example, chose differently. And there you may forget about going anywhere for half the day, as you will have to memorize the freaking whole user's manual. GS will let you at least find what you want after you press 5 wrong buttons, but whatever, you will eventually succeed, unlike with the Ducati's computer. Just one thing is that you make sure that you don't accidentally turn ABS and traction control off, alright? So the last thing, without me going over the edge, is that even though BMW R1250GS is very expensive, it's very expensive for a motorcycle, people do love these bikes and do what they can to own one. And completely justified. The thing is that this makes R1250GS and its predecessors, that look almost exactly the same in fact, guess what? Very popular motorcycles. Yes, that is right. Get out now and you will see your grandma coming on a GS through snow for Christmas. So go to your bedroom and look under the bed. Guess what? There is another GS. Even your priest or your pastor rides one. So it is crazy, and it sometimes feels like everyone is riding a GS. Look, when was the last time you saw a KTM Adventure or a Ducati Multistrada? Well, I sure don't remember that, while there are currently 23 R1250 GSs in my underground parking lot. There are not. But it feels sometimes like a freaking alien invasion, so be aware of that. And make sure that you are okay being one of so many. So there you have it, all that I could squeeze out of my brain to find these potential or truly already being there, those issues with an R1250 GS. So let me tell you this, you may be owning such a bike already and have not realized like any of these things. You may like the digital screen, you may not give a damn that Ducati is more powerful, and you may enjoy meeting other R1250 GS riders and be proud that you are one of that elite group, one of the, like a part of a community. That's great, and it's even pretty likely all that. So I, as an honest and thorough journalist wannabe, I felt that I needed to make you as informed as possible. Because if I would only show you flawless stuff, you would think that I'm bribed to do that. And I'm not yet. So do you guys think that I was too picky? Please let me know in the comments. And if you found this video useful, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe for more honest motorcycle reviews. If you'd like to know why R1250 GS is still the best bike in the world, please check my video about it in the description. See ya!